Hi. I'm reading Satan's Trilogy, Book 1. I'm the author and the narrator. This is going to be Chapter 3, Reading 18. You know, Esther, it doesn't surprise me that my brother was successful. Like you, he seemed to learn quickly and succeeded in everything that he attempted. We all make choices in life, sometimes by necessity and sometimes by design. But I feel great pride in knowing he became the best at what he did. Esther and Brandy had made their way to the couch where Esther had spent the last 2 nights sleeping. They sat facing each other. Esther pulled one leg under her knee. Reaching for her purse, Esther pulled out an envelope and handed it to Brandy. Dad left me a very sizable estate, but he wanted you to know that you were very important to him. This was Dad's way of telling you he loves you and that you had always been a wonderful part of his life. Brandy slowly opened the envelope and pulled out some documents. They were lengthy and written in legal language. Esther, what is this? I am not certain what this all means. Brandy was having trouble deciphering all the fine print. She held up the papers, looking at Esther, and asked for help in understanding them. A couple of years ago, Dad purchased a cash annuity in your name. It guarantees you $600,000 a year with a 2% increase each year for the next 20 years. It is guaranteed by the largest investment firm in North America. Esther looked at Brandy and said, Dad told me that when the time was right, that I should give you a hug and tell you that he never stopped loving his baby sister, not even for a moment. Looking up at Esther, with the papers she was holding, Brandy's eyes were tearing up. Esther leaned forward and, while hugging Brandy, said, Dad always had you in his heart. He never stopped loving you, not even for a moment. Esther could feel Brandy quivering, and she could feel Brandy's tears on her face as she held her aunt in a loving embrace. Brandy hadn't cried since she was a child. For the second time in 2 days, these were tears of sorrow and joy, and the tears were flowing from her eyes. Brandy couldn't stop the tears, nor did she try. She didn't hide her tears, and when Esther sat back, Brandy was looking Esther straight in the face, and her tears kept coming. Brandy wasn't able to speak. The years she had shared with her brother were flowing through her mind, and she was reliving their life together, the happiest times of her life. Brandy had just experienced a sensation that she wasn't able to explain to Esther. It wasn't the amount of money, but the message he left her that touched Brandy's heart. It was all about a celebration of his life and their love. Brandy didn't bother to wipe the tears from her face. She was wearing them with pride, perhaps as a testament to the bond a sister and brother can share. Brandy sat for a long while, silent and content, more at peace than she had felt for many years. Taking a deep breath, Brandy said, Esther, I want to show you something. Brandy stood up and walked into the hallway. Esther followed. Opening the last door on the left, Brandy stepped into a very small room packed with 4 feet high of boxes. There was a little free space in the room, even to walk about the room. Esther, I was wondering how you and I could be able to share this little apartment. This is the room you would have. That is after finding a place for my boxes. And even then, it's still a small room. Brandy turned to Esther, smiling. She said, "Esther, it's time to move." Esther, Esther took her eyes off the clutter in the room and turned to her aunt. "What? Oh my God." Esther grabbed her aunt and hugged her tightly. Brandy was having her breath squeezed out of her and managed to say, "Too tight, too tight." Esther jumped back. "Oh my. I'm so sorry, Aunt Brandy. I didn't realize you are a bit frail, aren't you?" Brandy laughed. "No," catching her breath. "You are very strong. I mean very strong. Next time I say something that might excite you, I am stepping back first." Brandy attempted to laugh as she caught her breath. "Esther, what do you think of calling your Uncle Hung and finding out if he has family in the real estate rental business?" Brandy smiled. "And Brandy, you read my mind. That is a very wise suggestion. When you have family that can help you, then it's prudent to do so. Do you mind if I call Uncle Hung right now? Esther, you don't have time to waste. You can sleep on the sofa. You can't sleep on the sofa forever. And we need to find ourselves a new apartment. Please call your uncle." Brandy then added, "Besides, once your jet lag ends, you'll realize that this sofa makes a terrible bed." Brandy laughed, and so did Esther. Esther grabbed her purse and pulled her phone out, a rather sophisticated phone, and pushed the number 3 button. And the call went directly to her uncle. "Esther, I am amazed at how quickly you have organized yourself. You already have your uncle on speed dial." Esther laughed. And while her uncle hadn't answered the phone yet, Esther commented, "Well, I have to do something at 4 a.m. to keep myself busy." She chuckled and leaned forward, giving Brandy a kiss on the cheek. She whispered in her ear, "And you are number 2 on my speed dial." "Hello, Esther. How are you?" said Uncle Hung. "Oh, Uncle Hung, I am wonderful, and how are you?" said Esther. "Esther, would you believe that last night was our biggest night ever? I feel that you have brought prosperity to our family. Uncle Hung, you have a wonderful restaurant and exceptional Chinese cuisine. Why wouldn't your restaurant continue to grow? My Aunt Brandy and I have a wonderful meal last night, and we were very impressed with Huan's cooking." "Oh, Esther, that is wonderful. I am very proud of my 3 chefs. They have all worked very hard to master my cooking skills. I believe that they are all very skilled. Uncle Hung, I am so glad that my Aunt Brandy and I were there on such a special night." Mr. Hung was pleased with Esther's response and seemed to boast with pride. "Thank you, Esther, for sharing our excitement and what is on your mind this morning?" "Uncle Hung, my Aunt Brandy and I are looking for a larger apartment. My Aunt Brandy suggested I call my Uncle Hung. She understands that you have a large and excellent family with many resources. Do we have family that can help my Aunt Brandy and I find a larger apartment?" "But of course, Esther. I will have Cousin Bo Chin call you immediately. I am certain that he can find you exactly what you need and at a good price. Would you like me to have him call this number?" "No, Uncle. This number is only for you. Please have him call my other number." Esther gave her uncle another cellular phone number, and they said goodbye. Brandy was wondering why she didn't want her personal phone number given to the cousin, and Esther had been able to see this question on Brandy's face. "And Brandy, you are wondering about my cellular phone and its use." Looking a bit surprised, Brandy said, "Well, Esther, I guess you read my mind. You see, Aunt Brandy, I am giving this number only to the people that I would never want to miss a call from. That is why you and my Uncle Hung both have it." "Esther, you haven't given me your phone number." "Well, I actually have, but I didn't tell you that you have it. You see, Aunt Brandy, the car fob that I gave you has my cellular phone number on it. Brandy looked puzzled. Wait a minute. Brandy got up and walked into her bedroom to retrieve the fob from her purse. Sitting down again, she handed the keys and fob to Esther. Now, Esther, please show me where the phone number is on this fob. Esther took the fob, held it between her index finger and thumb. She then spun the oval disc. Suddenly, along the edge of the disc, you could see Esther's cellular number. The edge of the fob had numbers deeply stamped into it. The numbers alternated on each side of the disc, and only when spinning the disc could you see the entire cellular number. Oh my God, that is so ingenious. I love it. Brandy took the fob and spun it. She continued to spin the oval with a slight disbelief on what she was seeing. Esther, you did it again. I am amazed with this thing. When did you have this made? I have several made before leaving Hong Kong. A friend of Dad's made them for me. He has many skills in casting and machining metals. The fob symbolizes my Chinese heritage and belief that family is very important. I place my phone number on the fob to be used only by the people I love. My cellular phone has several dedicated numbers, 2 of which I give out to others. My phone is state-of-the-art with a dedicated satellite line. It was developed by military funding and used for a variety of purposes. Brandy's mouth dropped, and she finally snapped out of the shock. She asked, Esther, I have to ask, how did you get this phone, and aren't the service charges huge? Esther laughed. Not at all, Brandy. It's a gift from one of Dad's clients. I pay nothing for the phone service. He is a very wealthy person and a good man. Dad and his friends saved his daughter from kidnappers. This phone enables me to call for help whenever I need it. It also enables my dad's friends to contact me. He is also my friend, and if he needed me, I would go to him. Esther omitted the fact that she had been part of the operation that saved the man's daughter. Brandy had one last question about the phone. Esther, if Mr. Hung is number 3 and I am number 2, who or what is number 1 on your speed dial? That's a good question, Aunt Brandy. Esther again became serious and said, This is for you and me only to know. If you press the number 1, nothing happens. But if you press the number 1 and hold it down for at least 18 seconds, then help will be on the way. Dad always said, be prepared for anything and everything. Then go and enjoy life. I hope that I'll never need to use the number 1, but it's there. Sort of like insurance. Suddenly, Esther's cell phone rang. The sound was a very distinctive vintage ring, and Esther knew it would be Bo Chen. Hello, this is Esther Saint. Hello, Esther Saint. This is Bo Chen, your uncle. Mr. Hung tells me that you have decided to find a larger apartment. I am very happy to have the opportunity to help you. Mr. Hung is my favorite cousin, and that makes us family. I will help you find the perfect apartment that will meet your needs. My cousin tells me that the apartment is for 2 people. Do you know how much room you will need? Esther turned to her aunt and asked, Aunt Brandy, how large is this apartment? It's about 800 square feet, said Brandy. Well, Mr. Chen, we will need 3 bedrooms and at least 1,800 square feet of living space and an excellent kitchen. Hold on just a second. Esther looked up at her aunt and asked, Do you mind if I ask Mr. Chen to keep us within the school district? Brandy looked at Esther and realized that she really wanted to attend Ulysses S. Grant High School, and so she immediately replied, Esther, if that's important to you, then I say it is a must. Mr. Chen, we would like to stay within the school district. I am planning to attend Grant High School, and I don't want to change that. Esther Saint, that is no problem. Would you like to look at apartments today? Esther looked at her aunt excitedly, trying to contain her enthusiasm. And Brandy, he can show us apartments today. Brandy felt the same excitement that Esther did. Similar to starting a new adventure. Let's do it, said Brandy. Mr. Chen, the sooner the better, said Esther. Well, perhaps you would like for me to pick you and your aunt up. Where do you live? Esther gave Mr. Chen the address, and he quickly responded, I am not far from where you live. If you can be ready in 6 minutes, I'll come right now. Esther looked at Brandy and said, He can be here in 6 minutes. Are we ready? Absolutely, Brandy replied as she reached into a small closet to pull out a denim jacket. I think that I'll take this along in case it's cool outside. It's winter, and I know what the temperature will be. And I never know what the temperature will be. Esther had decided that her only coat didn't match her clothes, and so passed on a jacket. However, Esther did pull out a new pair of rugged black leather boots that were 6 inches high and even had black leather laces. The boots looked good with her blue jeans. The jeans were slim fits that hugged her tight thighs. As usual, you look fantastic. You wear your clothes very well. The doorbell rang and Brandy said, Wow, he really was only 6 minutes away. Esther was first to the door, looking through the peephole. Esther could see a slender Chinese man wearing a black suit, possibly 60 years old. His hair was beginning to gray, just slightly around the temples, and he had a pencil-thin mustache. Opening the door and standing at the entry, Esther said, Good morning. Good morning to you, too. I am Bo Chen. Mr. Chen bowed to Esther, and she bowed to him. Esther then invited Mr. Chen into the apartment. My name is Esther Saint, and this is my Aunt Brandy. Thank you for coming on such short notice. Esther was pleased with Bo Chen and had decided she liked him. My cousin tells me you are family. I am pleased to be able to help you on such an important decision. Mr. Chen was smiling directly at Esther. Well, I think we'll stop right there. That was reading 18. Hope you enjoyed it.